Guys, I'm so happy to be talking about Jujutsu Kaisen again on the channel. We are so back, baby, and it feels great. And you know the funny thing is that these 2 episodes of Jujutsu Kaisen today that we're going to cover on the channel, funny enough, I think they actually work well as a singular video. So maybe me missing a couple weeks isn't that bad, right, guys? Apologies for that, but we're here, baby, and we got a lot to break down. I know for a fact people are going to be saying, oh, SUKUNA. They have been saying SUKUNA, SUKUNA, SUKUNA. His involvement in the episode was crazy, and it was. But this episode itself has a lot of other good stuff in it, too. A lot of other good stuff. Like our boy Toji. Bro, Toji is ridiculous. He's a Gojo level character of just like, you're absurd. The stuff with him and Megami is fantastic. I kind of love how it ended, actually. And the stuff with Jugo, for instance. Jugo, man. What an actually interesting character Jugo is. I can't wait to break into that stuff. Let's just sit down and talk about Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 episodes 15 and 16 today. We're going to get into it. So our episode begins immediately where episode 14 left off, with everyone trying to escape Dagon's domain here. Megami has opened this small little hole, and that is their only chance to escape, as Naoto and Maki rush forward. Even Dagon realizes what they're doing, as they're all making a mad dash to this hole. And everything gets ruined in 1 second, as we hear one who had inherited the curse of the Zenin clan at birth, and one who could not completely cast off that curse. Both stood in witness to the one who cast it all off, now manifested in raw flesh. And immediately, Toji tries to take Maki's weapon here, which, if I remember right, was originally his weapon, so seems fair to me. As Maki's like, he's fast. He was just in midair. And what's with this strength? As he casually tosses Maki aside to get the nunchucks. As she says, did I just lose a contest of pure strength? Me of all people? And to make matters worse, Megami tells them all, our hole just sealed back up. We're trapped in here again. And it's here as Toji's just strutting right now, man. We see that Naoto knows exactly who this is. As we hear Granny Ogani's seance technique still continued after her death. Her summoning of the dead should have ceased once her grandson, the vessel, ran out of cursed energy. But there was no cursed energy in the grandson's soul that was overwritten by Toji Zenin's body. And his body never expended cursed energy either. Her technique had simply lost its chance to terminate. The compounding irregularities left her technique running rampant. And Toji Zenin was currently fighting as directed by his instincts until his vessel ultimately broke. He had become a murder machine. Like, Toji's got to be the strongest person in Shibuya right now, right? Not considering what happens in our next episode, but he's got to be the strongest person here, right? Shit would be crazy if he stuck around. Let's just say that. And as Dagon looks at Toji and realizes he has no cursed energy, he says, huh, not worth my intention again. And as he attacks Toji here, Toji not only eviscerates the attack along with the ocean around it, he sends Dagon flying here, as we hear his fangs were constantly directed towards the strongest. And as this fight begins, guys, it is just ridiculous. It's wild, man. How wild. It's wild how easily he sits Dagon down. If I was Nanami and all of them, I wouldn't show my face again after this fight. It is wild how crazy he is just beating the dog shit out of him. Bruh, I wouldn't show my face again. Maki actually might not be able to. Everything Dagon's doing here is just being countered so easily. And man, let me tell you, he is trying all right, and it's doing nothing against this monster. As Toji just starts cutting into this man here. As Maki says, old man, who the hell is that? As Naoto tells her, he's a ghost. And I do think Maki realizes who it is in this moment. I think she does. Guys, I think it's hilarious that even Nanami on the sideline is saying, yo guys, we're placing our bets on this guy right here. And it's here we see Toji start doing something weird, as Megumi says. He's smashing Playful Cloud against itself? As Nanami says, is he sharpening it? As this man turns both ends into spears, basically. That's deadly. As Dagon thinks, am I gonna lose? Against a human with no cursed energy? How many people have thought that exact same line when having Toji staring down at them? Question of the day, everyone. How many people have thought that before Toji killed them? As Dagon thinks, I can feel that young boy's domain weakening. If I can regain my guaranteed hit effect, I can kill them all. I need to buy some time right now. But it's here. Naoto does his same trick from earlier and stops him from fleeing. As Toji runs him through the head with paper cloud, colorful cloud, words. As Dagon says, it's not over yet, and then gets stabbed in the other side of his head. As Toji rips the center bar off the weapon and just starts beating his head in with it. It is unbelievably brutal. As Dagon dies and the domain expires. As Nanami realizes if Megumi hadn't come, we all would have been wiped out for sure. Though lots of problems still remain. As all four of them stare down Toji here. And it's here we just see this man Toji slowly walk towards them like this is some freaking horror movie all of a sudden. As immediately we see a window shatter and Megumi gets sent flying. As he says, when did I get forced outside? He didn't even realize he had been sent flying. As he says, he might be worse than Sukuna. That's a bold claim. As father and son stare each other down. Oh, but don't worry, guys. It gets crazier because the second that Megumi gets sent out the window and that Toji's not there specifically, we see Jugo show up. As he scoops up Dagon's disintegrating hand and says, you've passed on, Dagon. As everyone's shook, they didn't even sense Jugo approaching. As Nanami says, he's on another level than Dagon. As Jugo says, you leave the rest to me, Dagon. Our souls will reincarnate even without relying on human beings. Let us meet again in the wasteland a century from now. And this next scene is shocking. Jugo has been severely underestimated as he gets in Nanami's face and says, first one down, as he lights him ablaze here. Before she can even finish shouting his name, Jugo lights Maki's whole entire top half on fire and says, second one down. We see Naoto try to use his technique on Jugo here to stop him, as Jugo hits him with a crisscross of fire. And as we look at his charred remains of a body, that's third one down. But right before he's about to finish him off, Jugo senses that something bad is about to happen. As he says, Sukuna, someone's released Sukuna's fingers somewhere here in Shibuya. And as we transition to our next scene, we hear, let's hurry, Nanako. The fingers might draw cursed spirits here. And as they're feeding Yuji the finger, they say, please come out, Sukuna. As we suddenly see Jugo booked it here full speed, knowing what was happening. And upon realizing what they're doing, he says, you two, how many fingers did you feed him? As they won't tell him, so he tries to burn them alive right here. As he says, good, the markings haven't disappeared. This was an unexpected turn of events, but I'll make use of it to its greatest effect. And as we transition into a flashback, fake Geto tells him, Yuji Itadori probably wouldn't transfer control of his body to Sukuna, even after taking in all 20 fingers. But that's only if he spent 20 days taking one in every day. If he took 10 in at once, his body wouldn't be able to adapt quickly enough, and control would transfer to Sukuna, even if only temporary. As we see Jugo take out a scroll with even more fingers in it. And as he slowly starts feeding him the fingers, he says, I fed him all 10. Now there should be at least 15 fingers inside Itadori. And as he looks over, he notices that Mimiko and Nanako are not dead from his attack earlier. As he says, oh, you're alive, huh? Must have been the technique of one of them from earlier. As he tells them, don't waste my time. But all of a sudden, realizes his hand is gone. As we hear, I'll give you 1 second. Move. And as Jugo moves away, they're shook to their cores. As he says, this is Sukuna. Fear that even the slightest move could lead to death. And as Sukuna's walking towards them, I love how they're building this up, building him up, as Mimiko and Nanako, they can barely even breathe around him. Or in fact, they don't know if they should be allowed to breathe. They're building up the tension so well. And as he finally reaches them, Sukuna says, you hold your heads quite high. As they all get the memo and bow immediately. But Jugo kneels and loses the top of his head because of it. As Sukuna says, did you believe taking one knee was enough? The greatest men bow the lowest, or so it goes. I see you value your head quite lightly. As Sukuna says, you brats, I'll start with you. You wish to speak to me, yes? I'll grant you a finger's worth of audience. Speak. And it's here, even though she's terrified, Nanako tells him, below us, there's a man in monk's robes with a saltire across his forehead. Please kill him. Please free Geto-sama. And as we transition to our next scene, it's sad, man. It's such a sad scene, honestly, with hindsight. But it makes me feel happy for Geto at the same time. A real mixed bag of emotions. As Nanako says, hey Geto-sama, who is Satoru Gojo? He's super strong, right? As Geto tells him he was my best friend. But we had a fight and haven't spoken since. And you can tell he never got over that ever. As both of them keep telling him, I love you, over and over. A very sad scene to me because for Geto to achieve his goal, he had to abandon everything. He abandoned his past, the people he cared about, his family, loved ones, all of them, to achieve this goal and kind of walk alone. But because of his actions along the way, he's found these comrades of his, and he's not alone because of that. That's why I feel a little happy for Geto. But this is still a very sad scene, especially with what's about to happen. Because as we transition back, we hear, we'll never forgive Satoru Gojo for killing Geto-sama as long as we live. But at the same time, we did feel that it was appropriate. Gojo was Geto's one and only best friend after all. But this man is different. Go to hell. As Nanako says, we know the location of one other finger. If you kill that man for us, we'll tell you where it is. And it's here Sukuna tells them, raise your heads. And immediately as they do, he blows Mimiko's head off. And as Nanako starts freaking out, Sukuna says, did you think that a measly finger or two would grant you the right to order me around? And right when she's trying to attack him, he cuts her head off from the nose up and then literally eviscerates her body. And I'll tell you guys right now, I didn't like that decision. I don't like that he kills both of them right here. I wanted a little more with these characters first, but it is what it is. And it's here Sukuna says, you're next, cursed spirit. What did you want? As Jugo says, I want nothing. And it's here he starts explaining to Sukuna that our objective, Sukuna, is your complete resurrection. Currently, you only have temporary freedom while Itadori struggles to adapt. I'm sure you're the most aware of that yourself. As Jugo thinks to himself, even if Sukuna's reverse curse technique is capable of healing others as well, it can't do anything about the shape of a soul once it's changed by Mahito's idol transfiguration. It wasn't that he didn't forge a pact back then, it was that he couldn't. As he tells Sukuna, forge a pact with Yuji Itadori before he returns. A pact to grant you perpetual authority over his body. But it's here Sukuna tells him, I don't need to. I already have my own plans. As he starts laughing and says, you all are desperate too, huh? As he tells Jugo, this is your reward for the fingers. Come at me. If you manage to land even a single blow on me, I'll work under you all. As Jugo looks shocked hearing that, as Sukuna says, for starters, how about I slaughter every human in Shibuya? Except for one. I wonder who that is. As Jugo tells him, you're true to your word, yes? Basically saying, I accept. And as we transition to our next episode here, I love how it starts as we just hear, I knew he was stronger. But to think it's to this extent. But we'll come back to Insanity, guys, because it's here. We transition to Megami and Toji as well. Yeah, that's this episode too, guys. This episode's crazy. As Megami says, he's this fast without any cursed energy? He must be the perfected form of Maki. As he says, thanks to Inamaki, all the normal people and transfigured humans are out of the way. Visualize how to beat this guy. Visualize winning. But one look into Toji's eyes shook Megami to his core as he uses fleeing hairs to run. But in that moment, he senses Sukuna's fingers. As he says, what the hell is happening in Shibuya right now? My thoughts exactly, bro. This shit's crazy. And as all these hairs attack Toji, this man charges right through them. As Megami says, he attacked on pure instinct alone. As Megami's desperately running away, but he cannot get away. As he says, shit, I no longer have the cursed energy to use domain expansion either. As Megami and his bunnies try to throw hands here, but he's making them look like toddlers, dude. And as all the hairs charge at Toji, he throws his weapon in the air, smashes the ground, sending all the bunnies flying. As this man starts flicking the debris that he hit into the air with his own attack into the bunnies, killing them. It's fucking absurd, but it looks cool. And for the cherry on top, he catches the weapon in his hand, because of course he does. Megami is just looking at him like, oh, come on, man. And it's here as we transition to our next scene. This man, Kasakabe, dude. He is just the perfect representation of humanity in general, isn't he? As we hear Panda say, Kusakabe, aren't we done with the interiors yet? Bro, I would hate to check the interior of this bathroom after Panda used it, bro. They might still be in the Vale, but thanks to Togi, everyone's been evacuated. So let's head to Gojo. Togi said the news about him being sealed is real, so let's hurry. But this man Kusakabe says, Gojo this, Gojo that. Gojo isn't the only person in the world, you know. Gege talking to all the fans. As he says, who knows who might be trembling in a nook in Shibuya right this very instant. Imagine if it was some young elementary school girls, Panda. How would you feel if we overlooked them? It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say we're responsible for snuffing out such bright futures. As Panda says, I understand, but he says, if you do, then get the scouring every building, every floor, and behind all the toilets, you dumbass. But in actuality, it's all because, shit, I'm running out of excuses here. I definitely don't want to go near floor B5, the fuck? I'd much prefer to wander around like this and waste time. Because I don't want to die. As he says, if Panda knew how to get there, he'd run off to B5 on his own. I really want to avoid that, because I don't want to be left alone right now. He might be a panda, He's got more of a human heart than I do, because he's a fucking coward. He hasn't even noticed that we're already super close to floor B5. Imagine how much things would have changed if Kusakabe wasn't a lazy prick here, guys. And as Panda runs off, he thinks, maybe I'll pretend to be lost in the next station. But it's here all of a sudden. They sense a presence, as we hear, "You're sorcerers from Jujutsu High, right?" "Surrender. I don't want to kill sorcerers if I don't have to." As Panda says, "I count 3 behind them. Probably more in hiding." As Kusakabe says, "I don't want to get murdered either, but I can't just roll over and say yes. So why don't we have a chat? A nice long chat." But it's here as we transition back to Megami fighting Toji. He is just tossing this man around like a rag doll. It's wild. He's throwing cars like it's nothing. Megami's running for his life right now. He's jumping across buildings. He's dodging cars. And Toji is still on his ass as he says, "The longer this goes, the worse off I am. I'll have to risk a short, decisive battle." As he says, "I have 1 advantage." And as we see Megami lure him into an office building, we see he sets the sprinklers off and then electrocutes the entire room, which is honestly a smart idea. Too bad it's versus the wrong opponent. As Megami says, "I've narrowed down his paths, but his speed is on par with Sukuna from that time. Don't try to follow him by sight. Focus on the timing. If I mess up the timing, I'm dead." And it's here as Toji charges at him. Megami uses his hairs to create a hole under his feet as he falls, as Megami catches him and is ready to stab him with his own sword. But Toji very quickly dodges. But during that exchange, he finally got a good look at Megami. As we go to a flashback in here, "You know my brat? He's totally got it all. I wouldn't mind giving him to you once his technique becomes clear at age 5 or 6. Depending on how much you'll pay, of course." As it looks like he's talking to Naoto here. As Toji says, "If he has the hereditary technique, I'll take 8. And I'll take 7 for anything else." As Naoto just laughs and says, "If he has the hereditary technique, I'll pay you 10. And as Toji's walking away, we hear, "Even if that place was a trash dump to me, it should be much better for him since he has the talent. Not that I care anymore. Not that I care at all." But it's in this moment he hears the words of one woman tell him, "Please take care of Megami." And as we transition back to the present, we hear, "Hey, what's your name?" And as Megami says Fushiguro, Toji just smiles and says, "It's not Zenin?" As he stabs himself in the head and says, "I'm really glad about that." And with that, he dies. The only way to stop himself is to kill himself. Good lord. And as Megami rushes over to check the body, we see that he truly is gone because the original body is back. As Megami's just like, what the hell was that about? If only he knew. And as we see that he is injured, he did get impaled by the attack, he just didn't die from it. He says, "Enough worrying about that. I need to make haste to Leary-san," which is Shoko. And thinks, or should I make sure that Maki and the others are safe first? But we see he's not going to get to make that decision as he gets slashed across his back here. As we see that this fucker, Shigemo, if that's his name or whatever, is still alive! Come on, Nanami, kill him! I'm sorry, but that's a big L for Nanami, dude. Kill this guy, come on. But we'll come back to that garbage, because it's here, we're going to transition into another flashback. Another sad one. As we hear, "Cooperate with that thing. You mean for the sake of reclaiming Geto-sama's body, right?" As we hear, "No. The true identity and goals of that imposter may be unclear. But once the world's been thrown into chaos, those non-sorcerer monkeys will be the ones paying the price. The monkeys will be called," shout out to the next arc, "sorcerers will propagate, and cursed spirits will disappear. That is the world Geto longed for. And that's why we'll cooperate. That's what it means to inherit his ambition. As we hear Nanako say, don't go making this all mixed up and complicated. I'm telling you, I'm not going to stay while the man I loved is being manipulated like a zombie. Geto-sama's story is finished. I won't let anyone taint that. I wish the author wouldn't have either, but whatever. And right as they're about to start fighting, it has to get broken up as we hear both of you settle down. The one thing Suguru would want least of all for us is to hurt each other. Neither of you is wrong here. So let's agree this is where we part ways. We can each do as we please. As we hear, what will you do, LaRue? And he says, I won't take either side. Same as Miguel from the movie. But all of you, remember this. We're a family. Someday, somewhere, we'll all share a meal together again. This scene is so bittersweet to me, guys. It's like I explained earlier. It's sad. These are the people that truly believed in Geto, that followed his ambitions on his lonely path. And because of that, he wasn't alone. He had people around him that truly cared about him to this extent. But it's sad because I know they're all just going to die, man. I know how this show is. They're all going to get killed in sad-ass ways. And I'm not looking forward to it. And as we transition back to the present, we hear, we are the ones carrying out the true will of Geto. And if you're with Jujutsu High, nothing else needs to be said. Will you surrender or not? As Kusakabe says, the chat was too short, damn it! Come on, extend it out a bit! As he suddenly thinks, you know though, with a group on this level, I can take plenty of time just fending them off and dragging this out. But it's here as they're suddenly about to fight. We see the power go off. And we see our true spectacle starting in the background. As you just hear that menacing laugh throughout the entire city. As we hear again, this is your reward for the fingers. Come at me. If you manage to land even a single blow on me, I'll work under you all. And this fight is the definition of insanity in terms of scale. As we see, they're literally fighting across the city. It's not one place. The entire city is the battleground. Buildings are nothing more than obstacles in the way of this fight. They're blasting through them, burning everyone alive inside of them. It is mayhem. And Jugo's getting his ass beat to the point where he has to remember a conversation with Geto as he says, Geto, how strong would you say I am in terms of Sukuna's fingers? As he's told, a generous estimation would be about 8 or 9 of them. Sukuna's got 15, by the way, now. As he erupts from the ground, literally, and says, I knew he was stronger. As we see literal waves of lava everywhere, the entire city engulfed in fire. Buildings nothing more than footholds for them to stand on. As the world literally burns around them. Jugo is throwing everything he has at Sukuna here. This man takes 2 buildings and smashes them together like freaking Lincoln logs. The scale is unbelievable. But Sukuna's taking it all in stride. As Jugo says, I knew there was a gap in our strength. But to think it was to this extent. As Sukuna literally drives him through a building from the first floor, or the top floor, down to the first. As Sukuna says, look, the moonlight's shining all the way through. It's helping me see your pathetic state more clearly. Come on now, keep trying. I'll play along with you again and again until I tire of this. Jugo just looks defeated here. And as we just see a giant explosion in the background, Kusakabe realizes, we need to get out of here. As he says, curse users, I don't know why, but a couple special grades are fighting each other right now. And as we see everything being sucked into the sky, we hear Supreme Arts, Meteor. As we see a gigantic, as the name implies, meteor forming above the city. As we see Kusakabe and Panda are trying to get the hell out of there. But this man, Sukuna, is petty as he stops them and says, "You're not going anywhere." As he tells them all, "I hereby forbid every person in 100-meter radius from moving until I say, now. And of course, I'll kill anyone who violates that rule." And as it's getting closer, he says, "Not yet. Still not yet." And the moment he says now, they book it, the meteor hits, and the destruction is insane. Everything in that 100-mile radius is destroyed. The city's turned into hell. As Jugo says, even Sukuna shouldn't have escaped that unharmed. As we hear, if it had hit. As this man is just straight chilling here. As he asks Jugo, "Why won't you use your domain?" As Jugo admits that, "I know I can't win a tug-of-war between domains." As Sukuna says, "Why? Because that's how it went with Gojo? That's the epitome of a loser spirit." Then adds, "You've managed to pique my interest though, so I'll fight you with your own specialty." As we hear in a very strange way, Fuga. And in this next moment, Jugo is shocked because Sukuna's controlling flames too. As he thinks, "I thought Sukuna's technique was severing and slicing." As Sukuna says, "Oh, I thought it was pretty well known. But I suppose you wouldn't know, cursed spirit. Don't worry, I won't do anything petty like revealing my technique. Because remember, by doing that, you actually make the technique stronger." As he tells Jugo, "Arm yourself." And it's here as they both prepare themselves. They both realize this is the final exchange. This is it. Fire swirling around them. This is our final fight. This decides everything. But then all of a sudden, we see white as we hear, "I'm sorry, Hanami, Dagon." As Hanami says, "There's still Mahito." Humans fear and loathe death. Yet the ones standing behind that are also humans. To humans, death is a mirror, and Mahito is that mirror. Mahito will continue to grow stronger still. That's why you placed him at the top of our ranks, right? As Jugo tells them, "We'll no longer be the same as we are now once we're reborn again. Yet even so, I eagerly await the day we meet again. We are the true humans." But it's here we suddenly hear, "You wanted to be human, huh?" As Sukuna shows up. As he tells him, I know, you don't want to be human, you want their position." As he tells him, "Even when I understand it, that's so dumb." As he starts explaining that, packs of humans, packs of curses, all of you get together and measure your worth against each other, driving all of you to grow weaker and stunted. You should have burnt everything down. Burnt everything around you without calculations or plots. Casting aside race, future, everything until you finally reached Satoru Gojo. That hunger to seize your ideals is what you were lacking. As Jugo tells him, "Maybe you're right." But it's here Sukuna says something really surprising as he says, "Still, you managed to surprise me a bit. I fought humans, sorcerers, and cursed spirits 1,000 years ago. And you were still one of the better ones I fought. Be proud. You were strong." As we see Jugo shed a tear here and start crying. As we see that in the real world, his body's been burnt to ash. And as Sukuna stands over him, he suddenly says, "Who are you?" As we hear, "I've come to welcome you, Sukuna-sama," as a strange woman, I'm assuming, is greeting him here. And after taking a second to think about it, Sukuna says, "Uraumi," as they say, "It's been a long time." As that can't be anything good at all. And with that, our episode ends. What an absolutely wild video this was, guys. Not only did we see Toji just absolutely eviscerate Dagon, we see Nanami and everyone get absolutely eviscerated by Jogo. We get the whole family dispute between Toji and Megami. We get to see Jugo fight against Sukuna, get absolutely washed and bodied. And now we get this mysterious other person approaching Sukuna. Like, bro, this arc has no stop, no chill whatsoever. We are just on the gas, bro. And we have smashed through the pedal. We're hitting the floor now, trying to stop, but the train keeps going, baby. The hype train keeps on going for JJK, and I'm on it, man. This was great. JJK is on fire recently, no pun intended, and I can't wait to see what happens next week. Who knows at this point what's gonna happen now? But I'd love to hear your thoughts on these episodes down in the comments, because this was wild. So until next time, I hope you all have a great day, week, month, and year. And until then, deuces, have a blessed day, and I will see you guys next time. Deuces.